Well, good morning, explorers, and welcome back to the next episode of the Exploring Your Universe radio show. As a reminder, Exploring Your Universe is UCLA's biggest science fair. We happen once per year in November, and we get something like over 12,000 visitors. Of course, all of this is, 12,000. This is all supported by wonderful undergraduate and graduate students who host science booths and give talks at the event. You're here today with DJ Stellar Cloud and
DJ Beam Boi.
DJ Beam Boi, aka David Garcia, is a fourth-year PhD student here at UCLA, but more importantly, DJ Beam Boi is the booth leader for our wonderful Ping Pong Particle Accelerator booth. So let's break it down. Ping Pong Particle Accelerator. How does ping pong come into play, and what is a particle accelerator?
Okay. So first of all, sorry,
You're all good. Take your time.
I was taken back by the 12K.
I know. Let's start there.
At the booth, there's just seas and seas of children of all age, and the numbers don't really make sense to my brain. And hearing that is really surprising, actually.
You know what's really funny is that we had another guest a few weeks ago, Emmanuel, who explained how to count how many children come to your booth, and it's something like 500 children go to each booth. And since we have 50 booths, it kind of does work out that it's 12,000 people.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's kind of an insane time.
But back to the booth we run.
Yeah.
So particle accelerator, our booth is sort of just it's a particle accelerator is a super complicated science machine, a discovery machine.
Yeah. I've seen it on CW's The Flash, but,
Yeah, so those are a circle, a big ring, those are called.
Yeah.
If you think about the big one in Switzerland, the Large Hadron Collider, the LHC.
One of our other guests has a CERN boyfriend, so we heard all about the LHC.
Perfect, because I'm not going to talk about it.
Absolutely.
We're sort of trying to just demonstrate that you can use electric forces to move something, to make motion in something. And so obviously, if you want to do it with an electron beam, you have to make a vacuum and, get really strong magnets and a lot of electric power.
Yeah.
So we use a ping pong ball because it's very light.
Yeah.
And we coat it in a little metal paint. So it's very light but still conductive. And we can accelerate that and sort of demonstrate just this circular motion can happen with just a simple electric field.
That's awesome. So the kids can sort of see the ping pong ball levitating, but it's not literally levitating. There's electric forces at play.
Yeah, it's rolling along the side of a curved bowl. The problem with this demonstration is actually something I'm still combating. Is it's kind of just like a magic trick. It's just ooh, look at the ball spinning. So we're trying to add more electric demonstrations to step up. So the first one we have is this event is for children from kindergarten to senior year of high school. That is a huge range of audience. It is a huge range. So I like to start with or this is something I've enjoyed, is literally just a balloon, rub it on your hair. But there's 12K kids, so I don't want to touch a balloon to 12,000 children's hair.
Absolutely.
So we
imagine the lice.
I know. And then their parents are coming at me for children having lice. So what we do instead is we use a little piece of wool, and you can rub a balloon, and you can sort of transfer electric charge to a surface of a balloon. And you can stick it to your hand. You can pick up a little piece of metal, a foil piece. Just demonstrate that, this thing I call an electric force exists and can move things.
Yeah.
So that's step one of the demonstration. And then step two, maybe there could be an intermediate step, because going from this to the WIMS, the combination of the WIMS machine, which provides, all it does is, it's so much easier if you saw it. It's some wacky looking contraption,
Yeah.
And it spins in all sorts of directions, but all it does is create a large voltage between 2 points.
Yeah.
And this is actually also something interesting. I say a large voltage.
Yeah.
You can have 1,000 volts, 2,000 volts. Even when you rub a balloon on a wool, you get hundreds of volts there.
Oh, I didn't realize that, because I just think 5-volt batteries are enough to power household appliances, but you actually get hundreds of volts from just a balloon.
Maybe more.
Wow.
But the point is voltage and current and the frequency of the electricity vary a lot in how they interact with things.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. What's funny about the Wimhurst machine is I've been in charge of ordering all of the booth supplies for EYU for a while now, And everything else is like, markers, paint, chalk, and then Wimhurst machine. And I opened this thing from Amazon. It's like colorful and bright. By the way, I'm sorry. I know you ordered like a red one and a green one showed up. But anyway.
It does not matter at all.
I thought it was like really funny. I was like, well, this thing has to be the Wimhurst machine. The only thing, I have no idea what this is. And the only word I did not know on the ordering list. But yeah, okay, so I really like the idea of you trying to like scaffold the understanding of electric forces to the kids, because you start with balloon on wool and then maybe we'll have an intermediate step next year. But what is the Wimhurst machine used for at your booth?
It gives us, like, so we have a bowl.
Yeah.
And we have like little, I wish I had pictures. We have a bowl and we have like little electrodes in there.
Yeah.
And we want to use like alternating voltages, like one's positive, one's negative, in like an alternating like pattern around the bowl. And so when the ball is in the bowl, it sees like a big positive voltage and a big negative voltage to its like left and right. And so if we can get a big voltage, in quotes, what does big mean? Who knows? Big enough. The ball will start to roll. The Wimhurst machine gives us just that. It's like it's an electrostatic voltage device.
Yeah.
Lots of big weirds, but it just gives me a big
That's
voltage
okay.
to
It's
make
like
a big
plugging
electric
in
field.
the ping pong ball, but there's no outlet. We just generated this electricity from thin air. Not literally thin air, but yeah, that is really cool. So they can see the ball as though the ball was like a particle at the LHC or something like that, and it's moving around.
The circular motion is really supposed to just be like, look, they both move in circles.
Yeah.
Like, you can draw parallels. I'm wanting to add like something on top of this to like show. I've been talking about big voltages. These are all like electrostatic devices. In actual particle accelerators, they don't use electrostatics. They did in like the 30s, maybe the 40s.
Dang. Okay. But they've come a long way. EYU has not. I'm kidding. EYU's come a long way.
We're getting there though.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about making a demonstration of waves to show that like I can, there's a thing called an electromagnetic wave, and if you put an antenna with a somewhat high enough voltage, you can like those halogen light bulbs, like the curly ones. You can like light that wirelessly because you're making a wave, and just it's another demonstration of like this thing called a wave can permeate through the air around us.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like cool. It's a demonstration. Like this whole, in my mind, this is just like one big demonstration of electromagnetism.
Yeah.
And how we use it to send energy in one place, make useful things out of it.
Yeah, no, I'm a big electricity and magnetism stan. I'm also a physics undergrad. So now I'm a radio astronomer, and my whole job is the reverse of that. So using a radio antenna to see which frequencies of electricity are in the air. So that would be super cool. I think, if you're listening to this and you want to help David out with building this demonstration, you should definitely sign up to volunteer with their booth.
Absolutely. I actually have another question for you.
Yeah, feel free.
I was approached by some lady at this booth, and she was talking like, hey, you could come bring this demonstration to our science fair.
Yeah.
But it's in like 3 months, so I still haven't reached out. I might.
Okay.
But do we know if there's any other places that like offer, like, hey, here's a science fair? And I was looking at other schools. Like, I know this Los Angeles school district is like huge, and there's tons of schools. And I've just been interested in bringing this to other places.
So I don't know of a lot of like other huge events like EYU. EYU is a massive event if you've never been. I know a lot of other schools will have like 2 or 3 of the booths come over, usually like within one specific subject matter. So I don't even know any other booths at the event that are even similar to yours. But you're more than welcome to go to the other science fairs, check it out, scope it out. I personally am not super involved in that. What normally happens is that like an elementary school will call our department, I'm in Earth, Planetary, and Space, and say like, can you please send a few of the EYU people over? And so I'm kind of like minorly involved in that, but that's awesome.
Are they normally, do you know if they're normally schools on like West Side or downtown or like close to UCLA or far?
I feel like they've mostly been in the Valley, and I feel like everything is far from UCLA, especially if you don't have a car. I do drive, but I feel like driving anywhere out of here takes at least 25 minutes. The only school that's like super close to here is the Geffen School, which is like attached to UCLA, and I don't think they need science fairs because they've got like the hugest minds ever in K through 12 teaching there.
That's kind of what I was getting at. Yeah.
I mean, EYU buses in Title I school children like children who are from underrepresented minorities. We do this on purpose. A lot of our funding goes to paying for the buses for these kids and then paying for the parking spot for the buses for these kids because it is far away and we don't expect their parents to be able to drive them. But yeah, I totally agree that if we really want to do like extremely meaningful outreach, it is far.
Just wondering, and I figured this would be the place to ask.
This is a great place to ask. Feel free to ask me any questions.
Also, should I say, am I a good distance from this
microphone? You're a great distance from the microphone.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm really glad that this lady approached you at your booth. Were there any other like memorable experiences? Like maybe some kid showed up and had a eureka moment at your booth?
Again, the audience is like drastically different, so I sort of, and there's so many kids at once, you can only talk so much, but
yeah.
What I remember is when super young kids get very excited about simple things like a balloon sticking to their hand. That's really fun. I don't know.
We had a whole episode on childlike wonder, so I totally get it.
Yeah, it's so fun. Sometimes older kids will ask questions, and it's like, wow, like, you really think about physics. Like, I wasn't really thinking about physics like this.
Yeah.
Very thinking physically about, like, what's happening.
Yeah.
But as for memorable experiences,
or immemorable experiences, really just anything that happened at the event.
No, it's hard to remember exact things because if you've ever run the booth, I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just take a step back.
I've never run a booth before. So
I enjoy running the booth,
yes.
But I don't think that. I just told you there's like 2 separate stations. I don't really think that I have streamlined it very well. So
that's fair. You know what? It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
We just came back in 2022, so it's been hard.
It ends up being like a very hectic and chaotic process. Like I'm moving constantly for like 2.5 hours. Last time I did it, it was basically, we had help. Because again, I just told you we have balloons, which means children plus balloons equals balloons flying everywhere.
Yes.
And so you have to like sort of corral things, but it end up being like a whirlwind of things. So
yes.
Just the
DJ Beam Boi's booth does not have flying projectiles that land in unsafe zones. The balloons are very corralled. But yeah, so you have a bunch of volunteers. Are they your friends or did you just like have volunteers?
Some of my volunteers are people that work with me in my lab.
Awesome.
And then that was really just one other guy.
Yeah.
And then the rest are just assorted undergrads or other grads.
Yes, thank you to all the assorted undergrads and graduate students who volunteer for EYU.
Yeah, y'all are awesome. Such a blast.
I love assigning everybody to booths. That was one of my jobs one year. So like if you requested 3 volunteers, I was the one in the spreadsheet moving everybody.
Oh my gosh, well thank you.
Yeah, of course. That's really cool though. I totally agree that being at EYU is absolutely a blur. Last week we talked about how I've never had a long enough break to like go look at booths before. I absolutely would not have gone to your booth because my latex allergy is so bad I can't be around balloons, but I'm glad that the balloons are working out with the kids.
Yeah. Again, the first year I did this, I was not booth leader.
Yeah.
I was just helping.
Yeah.
And we were by the fountain, and we let the kids take the balloons, and there was just like 50 balloons in the fountain that I had to fish out.
Oh, God.
So I'm trying to get away from balloons, too, to be honest.
Yeah. Was that in 2022? How many years have you been in EYU?
I don't think I did it my first year. So
okay.
It was my first year.
Was 2021.
My first year was 2021. My first year helping with EYU was 2022.
Okay. Because I do remember, because I was also next to the inverted fountain in 2022. There was a lot of issues that happened there that year. Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but we had a child throw up right next to your booth.
I do not remember that at all.
Your booth was safe, but there was some booth next door, like some biology booth of smelling things, and one of the smells was extremely triggering to some child. And back then, we didn't have EMT, we didn't have custodial staff, so our previous president, Sophia, had to clean up this vomit. And I was like, next year, we're getting EMT. This is a biohazard. I'm not doing this when I'm president.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So things are getting better, and we've slowly been rebuilding, and we've kind of seen that also through your progress from going from volunteer to booth leader. What was that like? How did you end up taking over the booth?
The graduate student. Okay, well.
It's okay if it's not glamorous.
No, the graduate student before me sort of started stepping down.
Okay.
And we're both like funded by the same organization, and they like us to do volunteer work, so we sort of do this regardless.
Yeah.
This is how I got introduced to it. I didn't know EYU was a thing. I was told like, hey, we're in this organization and they want us to do at least a little bit of like outreach and volunteer and like support for science.
Yeah.
And this was already being done by another student before me, so I was just like, I just hopped on.
Awesome. What is the organization that you all work for?
Yeah, that just kind of spoiled your later question. That's why I was
okay.
hesitant.
No worries. Feel free to spoil my questions. It's my job to think of more things to ask you. Also, you're very interesting, and I don't know anything about you.
Oh, that's all right. Well, you might be interesting, and I don't know anything about you, though.
That's fine, because the audience hears about me every week.
Oh, that's true. That's actually so true. The people that fund me, it's like an NSF Science and Technology group, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
We're called the Center for Bright Beams.
Oh, okay.
You say that like you've heard of it. No way you've heard.
No, just that's why you're Beam Boi.
Yes. Oh, I mean, I work with electron beams and laser beams.
Yes.
Beam is just like something that
just follows you around.
But as it goes straight, it doesn't like spread out. You know, it's like a laser. It's literally a laser beam.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah. Center for Bright Beams. We're all about making beams brighter, and it's very like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about?
We could talk about that now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I like to think about a light bulb.
Uh-huh.
Like light bulb, like you turn it on, it's kind of bright. You know.
Yeah.
There's a couple ways to make it brighter.
Okay.
Step one is like more electric power, right?
Yes.
But eventually a light bulb breaks.
Yes.
You know, so there's a limit, a very clear like physical limit to how bright you can make it from just more power. But then like you can do other things, like a light bulb propagates in, like light goes in all directions, you know?
Mm-hmm. So
you can sort of like put a mirror on one side of the light, and then it's really dark on one side, but then the other side is like twice as bright, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like think about a lighthouse now. Like they sort of put like a curved mirror behind it and a curved crazy, like, the lighthouse actually looks crazy, like kind of scary.
I've never been in one, so feel free to mansplain.
If you ever watch The Lighthouse, they show one there. It just looks kind of spooky.
Are you talking about the Robert Pattinson movie?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm like a big, Robert Pattinson stan, so I know he's in a movie called The Lighthouse, but I have too much anxiety to watch horror movies, so feel free to...
Yeah, it is weird. But like the lens they use, and it just looks really weird, but at the result, what you get out is like sort of a beam of light.
Okay.
And so they didn't do anything to make the light brighter, except sort of constrain it in like the angle it spreads.
Yeah.
Almost. And that made it like a lot brighter. Like ships can see it super far away.
Yeah.
That's similar to what we do. Like you want to make a beam brighter, you sort of make it spread out less. That's a way to think about it.
Yeah.
And there's lots of super complex ways of doing that. How do I even describe that? How do I begin to like tackle that problem? Very like nuanced, and that's this whole group is like they fund this. They fund different. We're like multiple universities come together. They're stationed at Cornell, but then there's lots of like Chicago, UCLA, University of Arizona, University of Florida. I'm missing some in there.
It's okay. All schools that are not UCLA are not as important, so that's fine.
But yeah, super awesome. I love the support that they have given me.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's more to say there, but we're getting sidetracked.
No, you're good. I just feel like this beam thing is sort of an analogy for how EYU funnels all of our like amazing outreach efforts and just like people on campus into like one big focused event of scientific outreach, because you out in the world are naturally a pillar of scientific outreach. People are going to ask who you are, how your hair got like this, and learn about science and like be interested in your beam formation because of that. But EYU is sort of this mirror that focuses all of us into the Court of Sciences every November.
Yeah, I don't really appreciate how much like work. I mean, I little do now, because now that I'm seeing like, this is my first year ordering something from y'all.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the spreadsheet. Y'all are ordering so many things, and there's so many booths, and you're organizing it all. So
yeah,
I guess it is. Yeah, y'all do funnel a lot.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of work goes into this, and I'm very grateful for everybody who's ever volunteered. But I have to tell you, weeks of EYU, the 2 weeks before, I'm probably working like 45 hours only on EYU.
Oh my God.
So I mean, my advisor is extremely gracious, and he understands that when EYU is up, I'm not free. But I mean, that's the reality of all of it. It's just, there's no magic. It's a lot of hard work.
That's awesome that your advisor gives you that space.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's great. Shout out to Jean-Luc Margot. Thank you for being my advisor. Anyway, do you have any, like, concluding thoughts about your experience with EYU now that you've been on EYU as long as I have?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've not been in, like, we can't compare involvement like that, because let's be honest. Like,
that's fair, but we can both say 3 years.
Yeah. I will say this. You just said that, like, I'm a beacon for outreach. When I'm not doing science, I don't really talk about science. Like when I'm in public, EYU gives a pedestal, a platform to talk about it.
That's true.
Yeah, felt like that was an important distinction. I don't know why now that I'm saying it out loud.
Well, I don't know. If you're wearing like a physics department hoodie or you have like an electron sticker on your laptop, you're still spreading the word.
Passive awareness. Yeah. But any concluding thoughts? I don't know. Every year I do UIU, it makes me want to do more because I don't really teach. And so part of me wants to do some teaching or just like science communication in general is a little fun. Sometimes it's like stressful.
Yeah.
Especially if your like audience is unknown to you.
Yeah.
The audience at UIU is becoming more and more comfortable. Like I'm getting better at like being flexible with the kids I talk to.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like a built-in skill that graduate students have to be good at talking to kids, so I understand.
Yeah.
But with 3 years of practice, I'm sure you're doing great.
Yeah, it is coming along better.
Well, that is all we're going to talk about UIU for now. We are now going to start listening to some music. Our first song is...
I don't know. I sent you 2 songs.
Yeah,
didn't I?
Me Voy Pa...
Me Voy Pa'l Pueblo.
Okay.
Oh my god. I'm going to see these 2 people in concert
Really?
this weekend.
Oh my gosh, like today?
No, sorry, a week.
Next week.
weekend.
Next week. Okay. Well, we're going to play our first song now. When we used to air on the radio, we would listen to some music now. But since you're streaming, for copyright reasons, we will not. But you're welcome to pause here and go listen to some songs. And we're back with DJ Stellar Cloud and DJ Beam Boi. You just heard 2 epic songs. Songs every week are chosen by our guests. So would you like to tell us why you chose these 2 songs?
Yeah. You asked me 2 songs.
Yeah.
And when I hear that, all I can think of is what songs do I like recently.
Yeah.
And I've recently seen these people in live. And I'm going to see the other one of them again live soon, like I just said earlier, in a week. So that's why I chose them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Just for like continuity's sake, could you say out loud the 2 songs that we just heard and their artists?
Yeah, we heard Mapache, Me Voy Pa'l Pueblo, and Tim and James, Rachel's Tea Party. Both of them are like duos. I don't know why I've been really loving duos that sing together and play together.
Well, we're a duo now, so this is good.
Oh yeah, but we're not I'm not very musically inclined. Sometimes, yeah, but not right now.
I'm retired, but yeah.
Retired? What does that mean?
Oh, well, I used to sing, like, semi-professionally. Like, I was, like, a children's birthday party princess.
Whoa.
But I stopped when I started college. I didn't have time for that anymore.
Yeah. So, I chose them because I've seen them live.
Yeah.
I've been loving live music here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's an unbeatable scene. If you just, like, walk into any nightclub, there's usually live music. Are you bilingual?
No.
Okay. Because you have, like, the Spanish down really well.
Yeah, my parents grew up speaking Spanish.
Okay.
My dad much more than my mom. My grandparents too, but they tried to teach us when we were super young, but, like, I just wanted to play with Legos, and so I didn't learn when I was a kid.
Totally fair. I was also a Lego kid. I actually just bought the Twilight house.
Oh.
Have you seen Twilight?
I didn't watch them growing up, but like 2 years ago, I watched all 4 back to back to back to back. It was...
First of all, there's 5.
There was 5? Okay,
yes.
I watched... because part 4...
Yeah, it's part 4's broken up.
Yeah.
What's funny is last week I actually missed the show. We pre-recorded it because I was at the Twilight movie marathon. Every year I watch all 5 Twilights in a row with my sorority sisters, and it was last week.
Oh, was this in San Diego?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're committed.
I'm very committed.
I love that.
But yeah, my boyfriend bought me the Twilight Lego house for Valentine's Day.
The Collins house?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is pretty good. Yeah, doing Legos as a kid. I've thought about learning. I've thought about, after grad school, you have to get a job, right?
That's the idea, yes.
I've thought about continuing in science as a postdoc because it's kind of, I enjoy science as fun.
Yeah.
And then postdoc is kind of like 2 or 3 years of trial. You can leave if you want. And
postdoc is postdoctoral scholar. This is the kind of job, it's like a contract job kind of that a lot of PhDs end up getting.
Yeah, I should totally have explained that.
No worries. I've done this for every single guest so far. They've all said some kind of academic jargon that I've had to explain.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But because you can go to universities or labs and people do the science I do globally, I really thought about, like, it would be fun to get a job somewhere in a Spanish-speaking country and then actually learn. Like, that would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very great idea. I guess that sort of leads us into, like, who are you? How did you get here? First of all, why did you send me a picture of a sheep instead of a headshot for the flyers?
So I'll start with the sheep.
Yeah.
Because that's the most fun.
Yeah.
I just don't really have that many pictures of me, like, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
I guess I could have sent you an old picture, but I was looking through my camera roll and I saw that and I was like, that's the one.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
It has really good vibes.
Yeah.
So you physically met this sheep.
Yeah. So at my... Okay, I'll take you back.
Yeah.
At middle school, and I'm from Austin, Texas. My middle school in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Called Clint Small.
Okay.
When I was, like, leaving 7th and 8th grade there, they had just started this, like, academy program where they're, like, breaking the school up into, like, 3. You can choose more, like, artsy, music-y path, more, like, science, STEM-y path, or more, like, literature, writing path, or something like... I might be wrong about that.
It's okay.
The point is, one of those academies is, like, green.
Okay.
Like, you know, when I was there, they had a garden. And we started, like, I remember we started, like, adding even more to it. I remember, like, I had a pickaxe, and I was just, like, breaking up a rocky ground because they wanted to put another bed there.
Yeah.
And since then, they've added, like, well, actually, my friend, for his Eagle Scout, added a goat pen there.
Okay.
And then since then, they added, like, chicken coop. There's sheep now. There's even more goats, and they have, like, a pasture. There's more garden spaces. Like, basically, this place is, like, leveled up massively. And then 2023, when my sister graduated undergrad, she did, like, I don't know if I should call it an internship, but she worked at this middle school for this green academy, and she was, like, the person tending and doing teaching about, like, gardening, especially gardening in Central Texas. Central Texas is, like, is beautiful, but, you know, it's hot.
Okay, I have no idea. I've never been.
And then she also took care of, like, the animals. Yeah. And so I visited in November one year, and she just took me there and showed me all the things. Yeah. And the goats were, like, you know, trying to attack me with their horns, just one of them. And the sheep were just, like, being cute, and the chickens. Oh, and there's ducks. Sorry, yeah. Okay.
I can't believe this is a middle school.
I know, huh?
Yeah. I mean, my middle school got, like, a singular MacBook, and it was a huge deal. And this one's, like, teaching you agriculture. It sounds like you picked the green route instead of the STEMmy route.
That didn't exist when I was there.
Oh, okay,
Like, they had just started to begin to implement it. Yeah. Like, there was a class called Native Plants and Animals, and that's what I took.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe they were, like, native plant pilled before they were STEM pilled. I kind of love that for them.
Well, there was still, like, robotics and, like, woodworking and, like, art classes. They were just, like, separate classes, and now they, like, made tracks to funnel kids. Education is, like, a whole topic. Like, how particular or how not particular do you go? I don't think I'm the person to ask for that. All I know is that I enjoyed it.
This podcast is kind of, you know, the blind leading the blind. I'm also just a graduate student.
Yeah. Education's a complex thing.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to talk about that right now because our next week's guest is my lab mate, and I have this running joke where anytime you enter my lab, we will end up talking about the public school system. So.
Well, okay, what I just told you, this is a public school I was talking about the whole time. Yeah. Which is, I agree, absolutely wild. Yeah. Not all public schools are equal. And I've heard that the Los Angeles school district, it's not optimal. I'm
not from the Los Angeles school district. I'm, like, a few districts over, but I totally get it. My high school was, like, the world leader in AP Calculus. This is our claim to fame. So you can imagine what kinds of interactions happen there. But anyway, you are from Texas. How did you eventually go from Texas to Los Angeles?
Oh, yeah, so that was just the grad school jump.
Okay.
I guess, like, that's the question is, how did I get into physics then, huh?
Yeah. How did you get into physics? How does anybody get into physics?
Yeah, I guess for me, like, I guess I always had STEMmy things in my life. I did a lot of music growing up, but...
what instruments do you play?
I played saxophone and clarinet.
Oh, nice.
And a little flute.
Okay.
But I've sort of quit. I've tried to pick it up, but it's kind of just, like, loud and obnoxious to the people around me. So I've been trying to learn guitar because I need some sort of outlet.
Okay, that's fair.
Very different, but whatever. This was besides the point.
Everything is the point. This is the episode about your life story. Who is DJ Beam Boi? What is this all about? Okay, so you're trying to learn guitar. Do you have roommates? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we can't bother the roommates with saxophone and clarinet.
Well, it's not even just the roommates. Like, you know, walls are thin, sort of.
That's fair, yeah.
This is loud, and so I would bother everyone.
Yeah, unless you got really good.
it still maybe bother them. Yeah, that is true. Just get better. But growing up, I've sort of always liked math sort of things.
Okay.
My, like, it was actually wild. Like looking at how the steps. If we want to talk about where I'm from, we must talk about my parents and my grandparents. Like,
Absolutely.
It's a necessity, you know.
Yes,
I look at
100%.
Like, a lot of my family's from like South Texas. Like South Texas, North Mexico is like the same thing. Let's be honest.
I didn't know that.
Honestly, Texas was Mexico. California too. Like,
yeah.
Lines are very blurred. Yeah, my grandparents were from there, and they, on my dad's side, they eventually like moved their way to Austin for education and all these sorts of things, and like the growth they made and the support they gave my parents on both sides is absurd, ridiculous. And then my parents both ended up moving to Austin. My mom was up in like San Antonio, and she went up to Dallas for a while and back to San Antonio and then to Austin eventually. And then they both had us, us being me and my two siblings. I'm a middle child.
Oh, you're a middle child.
Yeah.
That's why you're so nice.
No,
there's great things about middle child. My mother is a middle child. I adore her. And my current partner is a middle of 5.
Whoa.
Yeah. So you're a middle of 3.
Yeah, middle of 3. And so, yeah, I always sort of liked mathy things. My grandfather on my mom's side was like a physicist / engineer person / things. And so...
That's epic.
Yeah, it was pretty epic. Going to his house, there were like fun little contraptions to play with.
Oh, that's fun.
Not much, yeah. Some,
But that sticks with you. I'm also a grandfather was a physicist, engineer type, and eventually got me into physics. So that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. I always knew like I liked math, especially in like high school, because it was more fun to do that than like read a book I didn't want to read. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I didn't like the reading either. Sorry, Mom. My mom was an English major here at UCLA, so she's a big reader.
And when I went to apply to college, I just sort of was like, everyone's like, go to engineering.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going for physics to University of Texas.
Okay.
And I don't really know why.
Austin?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I thought your hat said University of Austin. It says City of Austin.
Yeah.
But UT Austin's quite prestigious, very famous.
If a school has money, they have science.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
So
science follows money. If you got money, you got science.
That is your reminder to donate. You can donate to EYU through the Spark campaign. I think you can buy a t-shirt for like $17 or something like that because it's our 17th year of EYU. But anyway, please look out for those donation boxes later on. We need your funds.
I'm really so serious about that, actually.
Yeah.
But yes, I went to UT, and I just really enjoyed liking physics.
Yeah.
I did a lot of math there too.
Okay.
But physics is more. I feel like physics keeps me grounded in reality just a little bit. That I need that a little bit. Otherwise, like I'll go full crazy.
I totally understand what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Like,
I think also because I was a physics major, that it just like, it's just the limit of like mad scientist and normal person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do experimental work too. I should say that. I really
Okay.
enjoy it. It's kind of like. Sometimes I think experimental work is just like adult Legos. Like I have
Okay.
optics and I have vacuum. Just like put pieces together. Like.
So are you experiments and theory?
I would say that I actually. I'm not as theoretical as like a theorist is.
Yeah.
I think that starting out, I've had to do a lot of experiment. I don't think I'm sort of ready to do theory work because like taking data is just like a lot of steps. A lot of things happen. We grow slow,
Yeah.
So
So for reference, physicists usually break themselves up into experimental and theorist. A theorist is like a pen and paper, writing on paper all the time, thinking of new equations. An experiment person, more like you, is setting up live experiments like particle accelerators.
There's also people who do simulation work where you set up something in a simulation and you watch how it evolves. What I really like about my lab is I sort of do a little bit of each.
Yeah.
I've sort of started dipping my toe into theory. To me, theory just means like reality works a certain way. I want to describe it with math.
That was a great way to put it.
And so if someone hasn't described it before with math, new theory is like a new math model I'm making.
Yeah.
I've been dipping my toes in. It's a lot of fun.
That's cool.
I really like math.
What problem are you currently solving, if it's an accessible thing?
I say I work with beams,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What does that mean? I work with beam generation,
Yeah.
Where do you get an electron beam from?
I don't know.
Yeah, we get them from, there's a thing called the photoelectric effect. Have we
Yes.
heard about this?
Well, I've heard about it, but you can explain it to our listeners.
It's kind of like the inverse of a solar panel.
Yeah.
Is that a good way to put it? Let me think. It's if I take something like a piece of metal, like let's step back to the solar panel. A solar panel is like some light, usually from the sun, hits this solar panel, which is like a semiconductor.
Yes.
And it creates an electric current.
Yes.
You know.
That powers your house.
That powers your house, anything. The photoelectric effect is, you can sort of think about it in reverse, like, it's sort of a similar concept where I take light, and I take, instead of like a solar panel, let's just take a piece of metal.
Yeah.
If I take light and I shoot it at a piece of metal, I will also generate an electric current. But the only difference is, like, a solar panel, I take this current and I put it in a battery.
Yeah.
When I make an electron beam, I take this current and just, like, it sort of just ejects itself out into the vacuum I create.
Yeah.
And so I now have, like, a blob of electrons sitting outside of my metal, and I can apply an electric field to sort of make them apply a force to, like, push them away.
Yeah.
And accelerate them, you know, because I'm working with an accelerator.
The bilinguality is back.
And the process of how I describe, like, the amount of electrons I make, and, you know, the material that they're coming from, and the kind of the light that I'm using, these all sort of come together in, like, a big, like, spell.
Yes.
To, like, you know,
it's magic.
It kind of is, like, like, at the end of the day, like, I'm casting a spell, bright beam. How do I make my spell better? There's a lot of parts that go into it, a lot of physics that goes into it.
We talked about colors of light last week, so I'm assuming the frequency of what
I literally have a box called an OPA, an optical parametric amplifier, and it's literally just a magic box. Like, a laser of one color comes in.
Yeah.
This is infrared light, so we don't see it with our eyes.
Yeah.
And it's wild. If you, like, look inside, there's a ton of these tiny optics, like, and there's 2 crystals in there, and these 2 crystals literally change the color of my light. So I can get, like, green light, I can get orange light, I can get yellow. If you've never seen a yellow laser,
no.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I can make yellow light, I can make green, blue, red, orange, UV. It looks like purpley.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's literally like a little spell, like cast spell, change color.
That's kind of insane.
It's
we never
awesome.
had that in physics class.
I love this thing, and it's also I also battle it. I'm actually going to battle it right after this.
Yeah, you were telling me that you took a break from work to come in to do this show. You work on Sundays.
This is grad school. I work when I want.
Yes.
So some weeks, like, you know, like 2 weeks ago on Thursday, it just wasn't happening. Okay. I woke up like, I usually wake up early. I woke up at 6, and I ate my breakfast, I did my stretches.
Yeah.
I was not feeling it, and so I didn't go in.
That's fair.
And then, you know, if I don't work Thursday,
yeah,
I can take Friday, Saturday off and work Sunday.
Yeah.
I just told you next week I'm leaving Thursday to go up to the Bay.
Okay.
Because I'm collaborating with some people. Science is so collaborative. It's awesome.
Are you going to Lawrence Berkeley?
I'm going to SLAC, the Stanford Linear Accelerator Lab.
Oh, I don't know them. That's cool.
Yeah, they're also work with accelerator science, very similar to what we do. And we're collaborating, so I'm going to visit them on Thursday and make sure some of my equipment works.
Yeah. Are you bringing the equipment with you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they just, like, let you put the OPA in your car?
Oh, not that thing. That's not coming. Okay. This is something else.
Okay, okay.
I would...
You wear a lot of hats.
Yeah. Yeah. We do lots of things in this accelerator lab. We sort of have to pull from any area of physics that we need. Sometimes we do optics and lasers. Sometimes we do, like, material science. We do accelerator physics is its own section of physics.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of fun stuff. But we were talking about my path to science. I do want to finish that thought. When I applied to grad school, because I was an undergrad at UT, and I was like, physics is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You should go to grad school, because, like, they pay you to do science.
Yeah.
You know?
That is what is said to you.
Yeah, it's pretty, I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
There's one more point I'll say after this, but when I applied to grad school, I just got into some places, and UCLA, the group that I work in seemed very supportive, and I liked they had funding, and they had new topics that were interesting, and there was lots of opportunity, so much opportunity.
Yeah.
And so that's why I ended up here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I ended up here for a similar reason. My advisor was like, I have funding for your whole PhD. For reference, advisors or like professors need to figure out how to pay their graduate students, and it's a very stressful process. So oftentimes people don't get into graduate school because the professor that they would work with was not able to find grant funding that year. So it's great that you were able to find this position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you don't have to teach.
Mm-hmm. I've taught a little.
Okay.
But I want to teach more of a real. What I mean by a real class is I taught a undergrad lab for life science students.
Oh, totally irrelevant.
It was fun. They definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I didn't really push them very hard. I graded very, very easily.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they cared more about grades. I was more interested in like I want everyone to show up and have like a little bit of excitement about like what we're doing. That's really what I tried to stimulate.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to teach more of like a physics class, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you consider a physics class?
A class for physicists.
That's fair.
Also, this class didn't have calculus, and it's so hard to teach physics without calculus.
You know, my brother's taking AP Physics right now, and he's already taken a year of calculus, and now he's in AP Physics 1, which is only trigonometry based, and he's like, every time I use a derivative in class, my teacher is mad at me. I can't do physics without calculus. And I'm like, you're 17. Why are you saying this? But
because physics
right.
really is like mathematically grounded. Like it's pretty awesome. But yeah, I do want to talk about the people that fund me again because like I don't think it can be emphasized enough that like I didn't really have to like it's very much a privilege to come here and have this funding.
Yes.
The people I work for they're called the Center for Bright Beams. If you like look into them, they're very much like science should be more inclusive, not just in like the people that represent the science being done, but also like when you communicate jargon. I'm already slipping on jargon. I'm trying my best.
It's okay. You're doing great.
Jargon overwhelms so fast that communication becomes like impossible. Yes. So they emphasize that a lot. They emphasize like collaboration and like the space to talk and honestly be a little dumb, because like
absolutely
learning is the process of being dumb.
You're speaking my language.
Yeah. To learn is to be dumb. I don't know. It sounds rude, but
well, you can't learn if you already know everything.
Yeah,
it's just not what it's about.
It just hurts sometimes, and like it feels a certain way when you're in a room. I really think math and physics are okay. That's actually so biased because those are the only classes I've really taken.
It's okay.
But I think that phenomena of like feeling dumb and being ashamed of it is really strong in math and physics. I
totally agree with that. Well, I don't know. It's different for me because do you know what my subfield is?
No.
You want to guess?
Your EPSS, Earth Planetary Space Science.
Yes.
Well, if I knew who your advisor was, I could maybe cheat.
No, it's okay.
I haven't guessed yet.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, you told me, actually. You told me it was something to do with radio astronomy.
Yes.
But what do you do for radio astronomy?
Yes.
I would guess, my very naive guess has to do with, like, dating and aging things.
Oh, okay. That is a good guess. There is mildly dating involved because I look for aliens. So I scan the sky for any signs of radio signals that came from other planets. But what ends up happening is that a bunch of people just laugh at me like all day long because they're like, your job's not very serious. But like we're talking about, I'm, a signal processor. My job's very serious. I mostly spend my time behind a Jupyter notebook, but it often does feel like other people in math and physics, they're like looking for opportunities to like
to attack.
Yeah, to attack or like make you feel like you don't know things.
Where do you get your data from?
The Green Bank Telescope. It's this big satellite dish. Oh, my laptop's not out, but it's a satellite dish in West Virginia, and I got to climb to the top of it in August.
Whoa! That's so cool.
Yeah, it's the size of a football field.
The dish.
Yes, satellite dish.
Is it okay? This is what my real question was.
Yeah.
Is it like when people talk about radio astronomy, they'll be like, look at my satellite, and it's a field of like arrays of antennas.
Oh,
Is that what yours is, or is it actually like a ball?
The one I use is a big ball, but there are also these field types or arrays which we do interferometry with. So the more satellites you have, the better resolution you have of which direction a signal came to you from. I know you know this because
this is also super meta because like the signs you're looking for are some of the same signs you're broadcasting. No? I don't know what the frequency bands are, but these are also radio waves, no?
Yes. So we're not allowed to broadcast because there's like so much drama. Oh, you're talking about this show.
Yes.
This show's actually not on the radio.
it's on the internet.
Only on the internet. And I think that lets us advertise things, including the Center for Bright Beams. So it's for the best. But yeah.
Center for Bright Beams also, I should say, is an NSF. I think I already said that. And,
It's okay. Say it again.
Yeah, it's NSF, Science and
National
Technology.
Science Foundation.
Yeah, National Science Foundation. I don't have many further comments besides very interesting to see how funding is going to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to say that, like, the federal funding that you've gotten has allowed you to do so much meaningful research because you've gotten to do experiments, theory, I forget the third one, simulations. And then you've also gotten to do this outreach, which is, like, paying it forward. So, like, the funding doesn't even stop with you because you got to, build a ping pong particle accelerator and talk to the next generation of scientists.
Absolutely. Like, it's not even just supporting science, it's also supporting the scientist.
Yes.
I will say this. This is, you were like, shouting out your advisor.
Yeah.
I should also shout out my advisor.
Go for it, yeah.
Because he's been, along with the Center for Bright Beams, he's been very supportive of, grad students are an investment.
Absolutely. We're $40,000 a year.
Yeah, like, we are an investment.
Yes.
And he's really showed support, and not just, like, me being a better scientist, because that's going to come with time, but also, like, supporting me, like, health-wise,
Yeah.
In the middle of, it wasn't, like, the middle of an important experiment, but it was still an experiment. I had to take, like, breaks for mental health to, like, go to programs and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was basically working, like, half days.
Yeah.
And he was, like, so supportive of that.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, that also, there's probably something to be said about ease of funding made that a little more supportive, because I do think, the reason I'm branching this is I do think that I just talked about learning was hard. And I was mentioning schooling. I do think that one of the things I focused on when I came to grad school was solving a lot of the problems I created for myself, like the 15 years of schooling I went through. Bad habits, not taking care of myself. Grad school was a good opportunity to take care of all that.
Yeah.
My advisor supported me, and the Center for Bright Beam supported me, and I'm very grateful for these things.
What's your advisor's name?
His name is Pietro Musumechi.
Trilingual. Shout out to DJ Beam Boi's advisor and the Center for Bright Beams. I'm not even going to try to repeat that name.
He's Italian.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's very important. I'm disabled, and so I've been in the ER, like, I have really bad allergies, and sometimes I have to go to the ER for them, and my advisor has also just been there for me during very important times, because, of course, these things only happen during very important times.
And, like, it is very important that you and your advisor get along for science.
Yes.
I do think that's, like, the most important thing.
Yeah. So did that also, like, play a big role in you choosing to come to UCLA?
I guess. I was a COVID student, meaning I arrived at the tail end of the pandemic, so I actually didn't visit UCLA when I came to, as you were. No, you came the year after
No, I
me.
came the year after, yeah.
Yeah, so I never toured UCLA.
Oh,
I
okay.
met them on Zoom, and I was like, they seem nice.
Yeah. You can't really tell from Zoom.
No. I just figured I would have a good time here, regardless.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Also, this is Southern California, and today is beautiful, and it's just beautiful in general around here.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan.
I figured science follows money, and this is UCLA, so there's going to be good science, and I figured I'd be okay.
Yeah, because hopefully UCLA continues to get funding.
Yes.
I think we'll be fine.
I think things will go smoothly.
So this is your first time living in California. You were in Texas all the way through undergrad, and then you came here. What do you think of Los Angeles?
So I'll start with this. The food, amazing.
Yes.
Arts, music, jewelry, shopping, amazing. Nature, oh my goodness, so extremely beautiful.
Yeah.
I have had it is louder. It's just any city. It's like any city. I was not used to that. It took me around 2.5 years to appreciate these things more.
Oh, okay.
So I am enjoying my time here now. I love, this is like, I don't know if this is niche. I love grocery stores, and like the markets around. This is not
niche. I also love grocery stores.
They just opened the 99 on Westwood.
I know,
99 Ranch.
I go all the time.
I love it. There's a place called Jordan Market for like little Mediterranean foods. I love it. There's a Sprouts and a Ralph's, Trader Joe's, and there's little Mexican markets. I have like grocery store discourse, like, what to get from what stores, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to run out of time, but we could do that on a future episode.
Grocery store discourse?
Yeah. Like, how should graduate students feed themselves? Like, being a graduate student, for me, it was like my first time like being completely independent and living alone. And I learned a lot about how to take care of a person, like you're talking about. I don't know what your sort of journey has been like, but have we missed anything that you felt was super important that you learned becoming a physicist? Any part. Taking care of yourself, learning science.
Science, honestly, like, science is, for me at least, emotionally hard. Like, if I don't feel, like, some days, you know, you fail, and it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
But then, like, if you're, like, sad at all for whatever reason, the slightest failure is, like, everything is horrible, and I have to leave and I go home right now.
Yes.
So I would say the importance of your mental health is, like, extremely important. I just told you I was aligning this laser box that changed the colors. I was struggling, like, battling for, like, 9 months with it. You know, I could have been pregnant. And we had to, a friend of our lab, and he's also, like, a laser engineer.
Yeah.
We paid for him to come and help us. And he sat there for, like, 8.5 hours straight aligning this thing and tuning, like, I don't have that sort of strength in me. At least I didn't at the time.
Yeah.
Since I've gotten a lot better at it. Because I would just sit there and be sort of getting down from how much I struggled with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, the display of, like, strength that man showed me really showed me how much I have to grow.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful. And this is actually a message that hasn't been shared yet. Just, like, how easy it is to have a mental health struggle get in the way of science and all these wonderful things. By the way, if you're a graduate student here, I think undergrads too, there's free therapy.
Oh, it's literally free?
It's literally free.
Grad school is like, there's so much provided to us.
Yeah. They try their best to take care of us here. A lot of really great things have happened. Also, my free therapist has told me several times not to drop out, so I also relate to this. Something goes slightly wrong, I'm like, I'm leaving.
Yeah. This is another thing about, we have a few more minutes, and this is the last thing on my mind.
Okay.
It's more of a question for you.
Go ahead.
You're a third-year student. Do you
I am.
predict yourself, like, leaving soon or taking more of a time?
Oh, okay. So I do think I will finish around year 5, which I think is standard for people in my department. But I know people in your department often stay longer.
Yeah, I'm looking at, like, 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I guess sometimes that's intimidating, but it's also kind of, if you're having a good time.
It's a little comforting. I mean, I do love it here, and I would like to stay, like, around this area longer. I just, like, I don't know how much longer I want to be in school. My goal is to be a science communicator, and as soon as I can get started on that, maybe having my own podcast somewhere else where I just, you know, do something similar but not EYU related is sort of my goal.
Have you already been thinking about what you want to look like for your job?
My ideal job is part SETI outreach, so search for extraterrestrials, and mostly science communication. Yeah. But I don't know if these jobs are going to exist anymore.
Yeah, thinking about this is, I have more years. I told you I'm 4th year. I'm predicting like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So I slowly start thinking about what does work look like for someone who graduates. Yeah, I talk to people. I'm just curious and thought I'd ask you.
No, it's okay if you haven't decided yet. That's the one question I never ask any of our guests. It's like, what are you doing after this?
Well, it's just funny. The Center for Bright Beams, I help them organize these things called grad-to-grad meetings where graduate students just meet and talk about literally whatever they want. Like, I gave a
like this.
Similar, but we have PowerPoints too.
Oh, okay.
Because pictures help so much.
Yeah.
And I help organize it, and I bring in sometimes, like, you know, new assistant professors who are younger and can talk about things. People who have work in industry, just like talk about what does it look like to get a PhD and then get a job. Yeah. And so I thought I would just.
Do you want to be a professor?
I don't know.
I think you'd be a good one for what it's worth.
It's not like, I still have time to think about it. It's not like a itching, super like pressing desire I have, but it's on the list of possibilities. I think before professorship is going to teach physics, like at any level in like Peru and getting a llama.
That, you know, tracks really, really well. Anyway, that brings us to our last question that I ask everybody. If you were one of the children at EYU, what would you have wanted a volunteer, a booth leader, somebody like you to have said to little DJ Beam Boi?
Oh my gosh. What would I want someone to say to me? Well, what would have been useful to say?
Invest in Bitcoin.
Like, I immediately started, like, my brain immediately went to, like, math is, like, super important. Because I liked math a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's more important, but I feel like that's kind of, like, bleak. Like, I feel like I would rather be told, like, like, here's a treat. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe we should just be nice to our youth.
Yeah, like, I sort of, yeah, I don't know. The moment I start talking about science, I feel like some kids, I don't know what advice I would want. Oh my gosh.
That's okay. Sometimes we don't know. Anyway, do you have any final thoughts? Thank you so much for joining us.
My only final thought is, accelerator science is awesome.
Yeah.
We pollinate science. We create science machines for other people to do science on. I am a pollinator. You could be one too.
Awesome. Where can people get involved or follow along with your research or both?
I guess we have a follow along with my research. In general, you can look at the Center for Bright Beams. They talk all about this goal we have of making accelerators better science machines.
Mm-hmm.
And also my lab sort of has a webpage, Particle Beam Physics Lab. If you look up PBPL UCLA, some page will show up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, DJ Beam Boi. We had a great time.
Thank you.
This is DJ Stellar Cloud signing off, reminding you to never stop exploring.